Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 out of 2 games between AmberT and Gonzo in round 5 of the second European tournament. Today we are going to be seeing Carpiquet Duellists, and on the allied side AmberT has the 7th Armoured, whilst Gonzo has the 2nd Panzer. Now this is a matchup that will be absolutely fascinating because we haven't really seen the 7th Armoured much, and we haven't seen the 2nd Panzer either. So I don't know what happened to allow both of these divisions through, but maybe there was a gentleman's agreement between these two in order to play out an awesome game for us. Now, I'd never really seen Gonzo utilise the 2nd Panzer before, so that will be something interesting to see. But of course we've seen the 7th Armoured a number of times, but does it really suit this map? Now Carpiquet Duellists of course does have 1,200 meter range engagement written all over it, and in Phase A, the 7th Armoured really doesn't have much to do that. Now saying that, neither does the 2nd Panzer, but they do have Pak 40s, and those AT guns may be the key to controlling the early game, especially against things like the Stuart Recons, which have the great veterancy as well as all of their machine guns at their disposal. So that's what we're going to have to keep an eye on, but let's start having a look at the deployment of Gonzo over here. Now for this top side, he is going to be bringing in an AT gun. He's also bringing in the Panzer Grenadiers early on. On the bottom side, it's going to be Panzer Grenadiers. There's going to be some command there, as well as a Panzer IV. Also going to be bringing in the Panzer Grenadiers and some spear troops. So, very loose deployment from the 2nd Panzer. The 2nd Panzer does often struggle with availability early on because all of its units cost so damn much. So the initial 500 points is often not enough to cover the entire map, and therefore they have to make sacrifices in certain areas if they want to invest in stronger units like this Panzer IV, for example. One thing that Panzer IV will be great at though is taking on the majority of the units that the 7th Armoured have to offer. Now the 7th Armoured, they can bring in things like the Stuarts, of course, they can bring in the Abbot of Chantry. They also have the M3 autocars, which could be something to deal with a Panzer IV, but I think the best way for AmberT to go about this is just outnumber his opponents and utilise his good income in Phase A to really overwhelm the defences of Gonzo, where he will not be able to reinforce as quickly due to the low points and high cost of his units. Now on the side of AmberT, it looks like he is finally starting to put down some troops, so we'll have a look at those shortly. But if we continue to analyse this matchup, when it does come down to infantry, I think Gonzo again has an advantage. And the 2nd Panzer in this kind of scenario will work very, very well. Because if you think about Phase B, for example, you have Sturm Grenadiers. And those have the MP44s that work well, 15 HE at 200 meter range, all the way down to like close range. And so there is no unit on the side of the 7th Armoured that can really deal with that. But either way, we are underway. A very quick deployment from AmberT. Does drop down motorised rifles for the top side, motorised rifles for the mid, and then a large push on the bottom side, which is going to be 2 Stuart 5s with the Stuart Remy, with the command infantry, 2 Desert Rats, 3 Desert Rats actually, with a mortar. Now this mortar is going to be absolutely crucial, because it will have to provide smoke in the perfect places to avoid the Panzer IV from picking off his Stuart 5s. Now these Stuart 5s, they have 8 AP, so at 1,000 meter range versus a Panzer IV, they will not be able to penetrate. However, the Panzer IV has 14 AP and will pretty much one-shot Stuart 5s due to their low 6 armour. Now, this is a problem. But one thing that AmberT can do is utilise the mortars and the smoke to get the Stuart 5s close, in which they will possibly have an advantage because not only will they outnumber the Panzer IV 2 to 1, but they will have the penetration that they need at that closer range. So now Mosquito going to be coming in Not often you actually see these mosquitoes invested upon as the 7th Armoured, because they do cost so damn much. A very, very fast unit that can definitely spot all of Gonzo's units for him. Stuart 5's already engaging. Can the Panzer IV pick off one of these Stuarts? We'll have to wait and see. The 3-inch mortar has not fired a single smoke round yet, but is just about to. There's a rats, they're going to unload, start charging forwards. Here comes that smoke. You can see the smoke order has been given by AmberT. He's queued a bunch of them to make sure that he can get that smoke into position. But the best bet here is just to have the Stuart 5s very fast move up into this smoke and then start to try and double team this Panzer IV. Now Focke-Wulf 190A8 that tried to catch out the Mosquito, but the Mosquito so damn fast that it will not catch up, regardless of the Focke-Wulf being very, very fast itself. Instead, going to be utilising the strafing run to pin down the 3-inch mortar and potentially remove the smoke support that AmberT is so reliant upon right now. These half-tracks are going to continue to fall back. One of the half-tracks did get killed on the airfield. Panzer IV going to want to try and keep an open range engagement versus these Stuart 5s if possible. I think best bet really is for AmberT to use the smoke to get round towards these hangars so that he can use the hard cover to approach the Panzer IVs, because Gonzo's doing a really good job right now of just falling back and not really allowing these engagements to happen. But that's going to be a crew wound, first shot from the Panzer IV. The Stuart 5 did just move back into the smoke in time, and that is very important. But look at this. This Focke-Wulf is going to have to be very careful. It has an oil leak caused by the 50 cal of the Stuart Remy, and is going to have to get the hell out of Dodge. Speed Troop, they have been spotted. Of course, these tanks do have recon capability, so not really any place for the Speed Troop to hide. But half-track goes down, but the Panzer IV, well, that's managed to hit the Stuart 5 right in the noggin. Finds the internal fragment, and now that's going to be a 1v1 since this Stuart 5 is out of action. Spitfire Mark 9 tries to get the bombing strike in with the 10 HE power bomb and does manage to pin down the Panzer IV just enough for the Stuart 5 to pin it down. That's incredible. The Stuart 5, regardless of not being able to penetrate, did manage to find the critical, and that has left this Panzer IV in a very dodgy position. Now fortunately for Gonzo, he does have the Panzergrenadier nearby, which will be able to provide the smoke support that it needs in order to keep this alive, but not quick enough. AmberT takes advantage and finds the side shot onto the Panzer IV that gets the kill. It's amazing what this 7th Armour can do sometimes, and well, AmberT, really, really good job there, using the smoke initially to get close, and then just timing on that Stuart 5, managed to find the kill onto the Panzer IV with a little bit of luck with that critical. Nice job indeed. Now this Panzer IV-H is going to be coming up to help out, but the issue now is that AmberT is going to have these men in these hangars, and that will stop this Panzer IV from being very effective at all. It can sit back and try and engage these hangars from range again, but he's lost the ground. And now AmberT has the +1. And moving on throughout this game, that is not a place you want to be against the 7th Armoured, especially moving into Phase B when they have the 135 points per minute and can continue to bring in stronger and stronger units. Now, of course, Gonzo will have 150 points per minute in Phase B and have access to strong units as well as things like Sturmgrenadiers to clean out the hangars. But it's much easier to defend in Steel Division, I feel, than it is to attack. Because once you're entrenched, especially with things like Desert Rats, they're really difficult to get rid of, especially if they're managed correctly. So for example, like Desert Rats here, if you put them on return fire and only allow them to engage at the 100 meter range, you can pretty much destroy any infantry that come towards you very, very quickly indeed. One thing that is nice for Gonzo here though is that he has used the 253 half-track and 251 to move through the airfield and take a lot of ground back, just kind of cancelling out this movement on the bottom side that AmberT has made. Now a smart move from AmberT would be utilise the autocar M3 here to just clean those up, because there is a potential that these actually have infantry in them. And if he's not too careful, infantry could be left in these hangars, and that might be awkward to remove later on, and also doesn't give him those extra points that he would definitely would like to have at this point in the game. Gonzo's actually managed to find himself a +1. And the Mosquito, that is in trouble. It's just been engaged by the Focke-Wulf 190. And due to it being just slightly faster, I feel like the Focke-Wulf is actually going to manage to get on the back of it. Never mind. I think the Mosquito, again, just fast enough to get the hell out of there. M3, going to be engaging the 253. It's going to pin that down and force it back. Meanwhile, the Panzer that were smoking off the Panzer IV have been killed off by a combination of the mortar and the Desert Rats. On the bottom side, Sturm Pioneers on their way alongside Command Infantry. Command Infantry is going to be very important to give this Panzer IV the extra veterancy to deal with Stuart 5s. But this is a really awkward situation for Gonzo. And he's going to have to find a way through 3 units of Desert Rats that are holed up in these bunkers. Stuart 5, which is going to be trying to utilise the close range as much as it can. And there's also the autocars now arriving, which do provide enough firepower to be threatening against pretty much everything except from a Panzer IV. Meanwhile on the top side, Staghound going to be moving forwards. That's going to be trying to help the engagement up here. Pack 40 is not really going to be in line of sight to stop that for quite a while. And there's also a mortar on the way, so AmberT will have an answer to that. Unless the Focke-Wulf 190 can come in with a strafing run again. But on this bottom side, 250-10, that's going to be trying to engage the Stuart 5. Panzer IV going to be finding the shot onto the autocar M3. Nice hit there for sure from the Panzer IV. Nicely done. Now the Panzer IV helping against the Desert Rats as the Sturm Pioneers engage them. I feel like this is a big mistake from AmberT. He definitely should have had that on return fire, because there's no recon here that spotted them. That's quite simply because the Desert Rats opened with their Bren guns before the Thompson machine guns became a problem. Same deal with these Desert Rats. So this is AmberT's mistake here, and while Panzerschreck, that's going to move forwards aggressively and take out the Stuart 5. Stuart 5 did not see that coming. The line of sight was used perfectly to get them into range. Really smart moves by Gonzo. Now the Panzer IV just has to kill off this autocar M3, and that removes all of the fire support that AmberT had on this bottom side. And this Stuart 5 still hasn't been given ammo yet due to the lack of supply available in Phase A to the 7th Armoured. I reckon we'll probably see in Phase B a supply unit come in, but in Phase A I don't think AmberT probably has one on his division. And one problem that we can see here is that the Pack 40 is actually directly engaging the mortar. Now it's very lucky for the mortar that the last shot there did not hit, because it's probably going to be able to pin down the Pack 40 now, unless Pack 40 gets off another shot and, well, does the job that time around. Pack 40 is not going to be pinned. Half-Track does get killed on the top side, but on this bottom side we can see that the Sturm Pioneers are going to continue to make ground. The Desert Rats trying to hit them from a distance, but the Bren guns don't do too much. The 253, that's pushing on through. Panzer IV did manage to get transmission damage onto the autocar M3. It started to back off due to the mortar. Now the mortar, though, is under pressure from the 253. And mortar's gone down. 253 now going to be engaged by the autocar. But got the job done. Panzerschreck, can it kill these motorized rifles before they unload? It cannot. Motorized rifles managed to get out of their half-track in time. 250-10 will be able to help out. And one benefit that the Panzerschreck does have is that they have got the heavy cover over the motorized rifles, but I think just due to the fact there's only 2 men in that squad, they'll probably lose out. 250-10 though does go down to the Piat. The motorized rifles managing to make that work, which is quite uncommon, but job done. Spitfire Mark 9 comes in with the bombing strike onto the autocar M3. And that's an engagement that I'd like to see Gonzo continue, but I think Gonzo's a very smart man in that he wants this Panzer IV to recover so that he has the best chance possible before he engages that autocar, because the autocar here is the only unit that has enough AP value to break through the front armor of the Panzer IV, so there's no real point in tempting fate if he doesn't have to. Staghound though, that's going to be coming around the corner, and that will be causing issues in a 2v1. Depends if the Panzer IV can get on target in time. Autocar M3, that's managed to find line of sight, but the Panzer IV's recovered its morale. Now the Staghound going to be coming back. AmberT really wants to get this 2v1 going, and well, the autocar's done the job, finds the bailout onto the Panzer IV, but we're into phase B, so Sturm Grenadiers are on the field, and they are going to be taking on these Desert Rats. However, Desert Rats managing to surrender a full squad of Sturm Grenadiers. Sturm Grenadiers on the bottom side though, kind of making up for that, taking out the Staghound, but this has been an insane engagement so far. Really, really awesome stuff between these two players. AmberT managing to really take the fight to Gonzo. If he can clean up this second Panzer IV, yes, there will be more on the way, but that is a big blow. I can't believe what I just saw. Focke-Wulf 190 manages to strafe the autocar M3 to death. Crazy, crazy stuff, and now Gonzo has a Panther D on the way. The other thing that's very scary for AmberT is that with the 150 points per minute, Gonzo can bring in 3 Sturm Grenadiers every minute if he wants to, and that is more than enough to take out these Desert Rats. However, saying that, with the Desert Rats managing to find the Gammon Bomb onto the half-track, these Sturm Grenadiers are in trouble. If they find themselves pinned down, they will be surrendered, since the command is not close enough to stop that from happening. This bottom side is so close to a breakthrough for AmberT. He just needs those just a little bit more of a push to break through. Now the Focke-Wulf 190 has managed to deal with the Spitfire Mark 9. Nice micro there from Gonzo is going to make sure he shoots that down. But look at this, AmberT certainly saving some points, manages to bring in quite a lot of reinforcements here, and this Panther D has a lot of work to do. +1 in AmberT's favour may very quickly turn into a +2. Sturm Grenadiers, they're going to get close and personal with the Desert Rats, clean them up, but they take a lot of damage in the process. 3 men got killed off very quickly there by 1 man and his Thompson. But they are now in position, and that may be quite awkward for AmberT to deal with. Panther D though does manage to take out the Staghound. Fantastic job. Now has really, really good line of sight onto a lot of these reinforcements, and that may be the key here for Gonzo to hold this bottom side, because otherwise there is a chance for a massive breakthrough. Like if these 2 Sturm Grenadiers get taken out, that opens up the Panzer IV to just be cleaned up by the Staghound or the Stuart 5, and then Gonzo's really in trouble. Kretschmar, or that's Ramsch, sorry, is on the way. Or Stramsch. He is going to come up with his Panzer IV, try and make a difference here. Save his other Panzer IV. Panther D, that's going to be taken out by the Panther D. Or that it's going to be taken out by the Stuart, sorry, was taken out by the Panther D. My bad. Either way, more Sturm Grenadiers are going to be on their way. And this is something that Gonzo can continue to do. If he has both cards of the Sturm Grenadiers available, it's going to be very difficult for AmberT to find something to counter that once all of his Desert Rats are dead. Because that 200 meter range, like, you can see how they match up here against Desert Rats. 15 HE on MP44s, versus the Desert Rats 3 HE on their Bren guns. So regardless of the veterancy that these Desert Rats have, they really do suffer in the face of Sturm Grenadiers at this kind of range. Ramp's going to have to try and clean up the Stuart Recce, because that may do a lot of damage to the Sturm Grenadiers if he's not careful, but Gonzo's going to smoke that off for the time being. Just wait for more Sturm Grenadiers to arrive. There's also now a supply on the way, which is looking to fix up the Panzer IV-H, and if it is successful in doing so, could open up a lot of opportunity for Gonzo to get back on the aggression here, because 2 Panzer IVs versus the armour that AmberT currently has on the field is not something that's going to work out too well for AmberT. Panther D, that's now coming on the flank as well. And this guy, wow, look how cool he looks. I love the camo on this Panther D. It's absolutely awesome. It's also very, very powerful. Gonna just kill off the Stuart 5 there. Nicely done. We can see that the AT gun, that was taken out by the Sturmgrenadiers. Now the Sturmgrenadiers are going to try and use their Panzerfaust to take out the Stuart Remy. Are successful in doing so. Other Sturmgrenadier comes in to cover their buddies. Managed to take out the Desert Rats. And now the Sturmgrenadiers engaging motorized rifles. Those motorized rifle leader, they really don't have the HE to match up, especially against a full squad, which is coming in very shortly. These Sturmgrenadiers, they're getting very, very close, too close for comfort for AmberT. Only a matter of time until the Panzerfaust gets on target and Staghound goes down as well. Now Bofors 4T, that's under threat from the MG on the 251, and the MG is successful in taking out the Bofors. The Bofors does not have any armor on it, the Bofors 4T, and look how quickly this has crumbled. Gonzo, just towards the end of Phase B here, has certainly found a way to break through the forces that AmberT had available, and this is going to get very, very hard from here on out. Now 2 Mosquito fighters have been invested upon by AmberT. It looks like he was getting sick of this Focke-Wulf from doing so much damage, so he invested in these Mosquitoes. But the only issue I see with these Mosquitoes is that they cost a lot. They're 160 points apiece, and I can't help but feel the points would have been better placed elsewhere, especially with what currently is happening on the field down here. The Panzer IVs have now broken through the defensive positions of AmberT, and once they clean up this salient, this is easily going to be a +1 for Gonzo. He can start to get his name on the board. Sturmgrenadiers, what work they have done, cleaning up all of these infantry squads and just allowing this Panther D to get in position, as well as the Panzer IVs on this bottom side. This Panzer IV did end up getting completely fixed up by the Mortier, and that's really, really good. Look at this though, double Gepard with the Flak 38 brought in. This Mosquito, there's potential that's going to get shot down. Focke-Wulf 190 might be able to clean that up. It does. Now going to be continuing to engage these Mosquitoes. And one thing I'm really not a fan of with these Mosquitoes is just how unmaneuverable they are in comparison to other fighters. That's something that really will affect this engagement between the Focke-Wulf and the Mosquitoes, especially if Gonzo continues to micro this properly. One thing the Mosquitoes do have going for them is they have a lot of firepower, and that is potentially something that will win out the engagement here, but if one of these Mosquitoes ends up falling back, the other one I think is completely toast. These Desert Rats, they're trying to engage the infantry here, trying to get out the line of sight of the Sturm Pioneers, but end up in the face of a half-track anyway, which is not ideal. Gepards, they're going to really have to get up close and personal with these Mosquitoes soon, otherwise there could be issues here. This Focke-Wulf's playing with fire at this point. He does not want to be in the sky much longer. Does seem to have a head start to get out. It looks like he will this time around, and now the new Focke-Wulf's on its way. And with the help of these Gepards, that may just be a double kill. As long as this Focke-Wulf is managed correctly, which it looks like it is, you should be able to shoot down the first and then the second. I'm going to focus on the second first, just because it looks like they were going to get out quickly. Unfortunately, Gonzo does not find either of the kills, and the Mosquitoes survive to fight another day. But look at this. The double Panzer IV push is really making ground. 56% territory in favour of Gonzo. Fireflies, though, they're on the way. AmberT, it looks as though he's been saving. Brings in two 2-star Fireflies. But on the side of Gonzo, he's going to have Panthers. And this Panther A, with the 2-star veterancy, certainly matches up well. and it's 3-star with the help of the Panzer, well, that's when things get scary. Could even just rely on Ramps here to provide the command. Here it comes. Also the Panther D, that's going to be a threat for these Fireflies as well. And unless there's decent command with these Fireflies, they could be in a bad spot. Now generally, Fireflies work very well in the 2v1 scenario versus Panthers. It's something that I used to say quite a lot actually. Generally it takes 2 Fireflies to kill a Panther. And it's well worth the extra investment to get a second Firefly if you do want to kill a Panther. But often, if you get into this position where there's like one Panther for every Firefly you have, it's pretty much over, I feel. Because it's very difficult for a Firefly to kill a Panther. From the front, anyway. Because a 16 AP, for example, is not enough to really penetrate 14 front armor efficiently. Whereas the 17 AP of a Panther can easily slice through the 11 armor of the Fireflies. So the Fireflies always have that inherent disadvantage. But one thing that is really nice for the Fireflies here is they've managed to cut off the Panzer IV Persian. Ramps is in trouble. He does go down. Sturmgrenadiers, they're going to be unloaded. One of the Panzer IVs is in cover, which is going to help it out. But nice job there by AmberT to just cut off that little attack for the time being. +2 though, in favour of AmberT. Yes, this Panther D did just get hit by off-map, but I don't think that's something that Gonzo really needs to be worried about, since it's all in the open and has plenty of space to fall back. Now we see an AT gun arriving. That's going to be another Pack 40. And alongside the Panther A, I feel like this Pack 40 could be something that really makes a difference in this engagement. Now what will be important is for AmberT to have recon, but also to not lose a Firefly to a Panzer IV. And wow, that Panzer IV has certainly shown up. It's left this Firefly on its lonesome, and the Panther is literally in its face, running it down. If this Firefly goes down to the Panther, it is going to be curtains. Panzer IV, it's actually missed by the Firefly. The 3-star Firefly misses its target. Now the Panther getting shots on. It's slightly faster than the Firefly in going forwards, and then the Firefly is in reverse. And surely it's only a matter of time until this Firefly fires, and crew wounded. Panzer IV, can it get a second shot? AmberT does not want to see it happen. And that is going to be victory for Gonzo after 24 minutes and 16 seconds. And that, my friends, is the strength of the 2nd Panzer. What a fantastic showing from both players. I really liked AmberT's Phase A strategy with the smoke. It worked really well actually, and he managed to gain a lot of ground off it. But just didn't really micro the Desert Rats, I think, properly, in my opinion. I would have loved to have seen the Desert Rats used with return fire and then engage the Sturmgrenadiers at 100-meter range. I think that would have been a lot better, because the Sturmgrenadiers would have been in medium cover or not even any cover at all, whilst the Desert Rats would have been in heavy cover. So regardless of the fact that the Sturmgrenadiers would have still had 3 more HE than the 12 HE of the Thompsons of the Desert Rats should have still won in that engagement, and that would have chewed up those Desert Rats or those Sturmgrenadiers just enough to help his way through that Phase B. Because if those Fireflies had got themselves into the position where the Staghounds and Stuarts were initially, I think the Fireflies could have done a lot of work in shutting down those Panthers, because you saw the amount of times where those Panzer IVs were under threat from like a 2-angle engagement, and that's perfect positioning for like Fireflies if you want to do the same sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate that player lost his ground, but fantastic work by Gonzo to bring this back with the 2nd Panzer and really utilise their strong Phase B to make it happen. In the end, 2,035 kills to 905 losses for Gonzo. And oh, would you look at that? The Stuart 5 early on, really good. Killed off the Panzer IV found the side shots. Autocarm 3 again did pretty well. Found the bailout onto the Panzer 4, but unfortunately couldn't find the kill. Staghounds, they did well. Fireflies, fantastic stuff. Initially killing the Panzer 4, but then when one got caught out by the Panzer 4, the second Panzer 4, that was pretty much curtains for the Firefly engagement, that's for sure. In terms of losses, well, this was the Panzer 4 that was alive from the start of the game. Killed off the Firefly in the end. Look at this Focke-Wulf though. It strafed to death the Autocarm 3. It killed off the 6-pounder. It shot down the Recon Mosquito. Really, really good use of this Focke-Wulf by Gonzo. Alclada Panther D, that certainly showed up, bringing the flank across the airfield, which basically player could do nothing about in Phase B. He potentially could have hit it with like an AT gun maybe, but that would have been really difficult to do, and the Alpha Panther D has plenty of armor to stop that from being effective. I think with the 7th Armoured you only get 17-pounders in Phase C, so yeah, that would be something you'd have to work around. But either way, really, really smart play by Gonzo to use the Sturmgrenadiers to bring back this game for him. Really nice work by AmberT in the early game to get those Stuart 5s to be effective against Panzer 4s. But that's all for now. That's the first game going in favour of Gonzo. We'll have to wait and see how the second game goes. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.